today, a lot of kids have hidden disabilities, or they might have a cognitive disability or a learning disability, maybe even a communication disability, in a ways that shows up because they can't express themselves on paper, but they could do it if they were given another way to express themselves, such as with art, if they could express themselves freely, if they could really demonstrate their abilities to show that they can do this and these are the feelings or whatever that they're having. But because it's expected in a certain way, it shows up as a limitation. And I think that those kinds of things open up when you introduce people to art, especially with kids and communication issues. Like autistic children, for example, they can't touch, they won't look sometimes. It depends on the level of disability. They have issues about space, but once you give them something like, I don't know, paper and coloring pencils or something, all the stuff that's been inside of them comes out and they make amazing pictures. Same thing, I think, with kids who maybe they can hear but they can't communicate well, but they learn sign language so that they can express themselves and communicate in a better way through sign language. The same thing can happen in art. I think that art is the perfect vehicle for children with disabilities to express themselves so that they can just be, I don't know, they can just go wild with it and be free and just do whatever they want. And, you know, they can just go for it without any limitations at all. I think it's empowering. We all share one common thing, right? We love and appreciate the value of art. Whether I made it, somebody else made it, I just appreciate looking at it, or I like to sculpt, whatever I like to do, we can all appreciate it. We can all get involved on some level. We could take workshops, we could take classes. We can all share. That could be the common thread. I think art brings people together in a neutral space. It's not about, you know, who's better or, you know, who's bad, or it's about sharing and exchanging and learning together and learning from each other. It was the 18th or 19th century in England. The poor homeless people who lived on the street would sit there with their cap in their hand and beg for money. That's where the term handicap. So you have the cap, you have the hand, you have the disability, now you're handy. That's where the word handicapped came from. And it's always been known for that. And then now we're more politically savvy. We focus on people's first language. So like now you don't say the wheelchair, you say the person with uses a wheelchair. Like we used to be deaf and mute or deaf and dumb, which was a very oppressive way to describe us. Sometimes you still see it in the media. You see wheelchair bound, you see in the media sometimes. That person is not bound to that wheelchair. They are not stuck there. They could get in and out of it if they wanted to, maybe with help, but today's the 21st century, and the media is still using these archaic, inappropriate words for what disabilities are. Plus, you have to ask the community, what do you prefer to be called, and then respect them enough to use those words. You know, the deaf community prefers you're either deaf or you're hard of hearing. We are not hearing impaired. The blind community, blindness community, sometimes blind people, they call them the blindness community or visually impaired, they accept that. It's important to ask the people who are members of the community what they like to be. Like tomorrow, you saw that you used to see parking signs on the street that said handicapped on the sign. You notice they don't say that anymore. They say accessible parking now, because we finally got the governments to change these signs from the old archaic terms to the modern politically correct terms.